Hello and welcome to the Power Play, a special social media part of Around the Wicket. Make sure you get your questions in so we can ask our experts today. It's Daren Ganga and Lisa Stalaker alongside me. Daren, interesting conversation going around the form of Travis Head. We know his position is not under any sort of threat. He's been brilliant for quite some time now, no matter which team he plays for in Australia. But he averaged pretty poorly against Pakistan, and most people expected more. What are you expecting against the West Indies? Do you think he'll be fired up?
Yeah, I think, very good players, they find a way of getting success. I mean, you look at the output that he's provided in 2022, 2023, he's probably sitting on maybe an ICC Cricketer of the Year award or an ICC Test Player of the Year award. That's how exceptional he's been. So I would say he will find a way to score runs. He's as good a player as some of the top order batters in this Australian side, and it's not a very strong West Indian side. So I think he will regain his form. An average of 16 against Pakistan is not to his standard of play and quality as a test player.
It was still a bit of a hangover from the World Cup and...
Literal or figurative?
Well, whatever you want to do. But, as Aussies, we allow that. You're allowed to celebrate. Carry on. He'll be fine.
Enough people were filling that void, weren't
fine.
they? Trav, you just continue to celebrate. You've got some news for us. Kane Williamson, as we look ahead, because it's the West Indies, 2 tests, and then some T20 internationals against New Zealand, and then test series as well. But Kane Williamson's under a bit of a cloud.
Yeah, unfortunately went off against Pakistan in a T20 and didn't come back on to the field of play. Has had a scan. He's got a mild little kind of tear or a little twinge of the hamstring, and fingers crossed. I think they're pulling him out for the rest of the T20 series. They've got a test series against South Africa first before they take on the Aussies. So
famous many uncapped players led by an uncapped player series. So why would you play him?
No, so I think they'd probably be really smart and look after him and get him right for the Australian series. That's the big one for them back home. But all eyes are on Kane because he's been injured way too much lately, especially last year.
He had that elbow injury for years, but then last year he does the ACL, remarkably comes back in 6 months, then gets a freak fractured finger in the World Cup at the non-striker's end, just running the ball hits him. He comes back from that pretty quickly as well. And now this, he's almost got amazing recuperative powers and really bad luck or something along those lines.
And I think this New Zealand side, they need a Kane Williamson, of course, with the value that he brings with the bat. I mean, he's such an exceptional ambassador for the game of cricket. I think he's loved all over the world. I can speak from a West Indian perspective. You say Kane, they say, yes, we watch cricket because of him.
Now, before we let you go, we've had some questions. You and Michael Clarke hanging out in the AIS days. What year are we talking? Early 2000s?
This was 1999.
No, back in the 90s, the loose and wild 90s. Go on, give us a couple of stories about those AIS days.
Of course, he led the way for us West Indians. We didn't know anything about wading. So Michael will take us down on Henley Beach and teach us how to wade in the absence of Rod Marsh, who was our coach. The one thing I must say, and I'm really honest in what I said, responsible guy, he'll take us for a night out, and the next morning at 6:30, once there was a beach jog on the schedule, he'll be the first man out there.
Did he jog straight from the nightclub to the beach?
Possibly. but we balance both, work with, private time.
You can do that when you're that young.
Yeah.
Thank goodness all I can say is that they moved that national performance squad up to Canberra because it was freezing in South Australia and Adelaide at that time of year.
And for West Indians with cool weather, we never liked it. But, I mean, it was a rude awakening for us. To be honest, the quality of cricketers we met when we entered that Australian Institute of Sport, Shane Watson, Michael Clarke, Nathan Horrocks, they sort of showed us the gulf that existed between Cricket Australia and Cricket West Indies from a strength and conditioning perspective and the focus on developing young talents.
Just quietly, Horry would be pretty happy to be involved in that conversation with those names. Daren Ganga, Lisa Stalaker, thanks so much for your time. This has been the Power Play.